In this video, I'm going to use Dreamweaver CS4 to create a web page, which is pretty much already created, and then I'm going to use two different style sheets to control how the page looks on screen versus how print. So let me give you a rundown on what I've got already. I've got 3 divs, and each div is uniquely identified. Let me show you on my code view for a second. I've got a div identified as header, and inside of it there's a headline 1. I've got a div identified as menu, and there's an unordered list inside of that. In a different video I show you how to make an unordered list into a much nicer professional navigation menu. And then I've got a third div identified as main, and in that there's 3 generic paragraphs, and one of those paragraphs happens to have a photograph, an image. There's the closing div for that main section. So in design view I can clearly see my 3 div sections with their relative content. And if I were to look at my web page as it stands right now on a browser, this is what I've got. Headline, menu, and then main content area with paragraphs, one paragraph containing an inline image. There is absolutely no style to this page. Insert joke here. Alright, so what I want to do is create some style sheets. Now, I jumped ahead and already did that. I've got a screen style sheet, which is currently blank, and I've got a print style sheet, which is currently blank. Neither of these are currently attached to my document. So if you didn't already have your style sheets, you would simply go to File, New, and create a CSS file. I'll cancel that though, since I've already got them. And I've saved each of them. So let me go ahead and attach them. I'm going to use the little attach chain link button over here in my CSS panel, and I'm going to find, I'm in my styles folder. This is the folder I'm working with here. I've got a styles subfolder, and let's see, here's my screen style. I'll do that one first. And for media, I want to make sure I use screen. Click OK, and look at this in my styles panel under the all category. Screen style is using screen media, and I'm going to attach another style sheet. This one will be, of course, my print style, and I'm going to use print media. There we go. So now I have 2 style sheets attached to my HTML file, my web page. Neither of these styles sheets has any rules within them. So let's go ahead and do some real fast. I'm going to jump over to my screen style, and I'm going to create a new CSS rule, and I'll do one for, I'll do a tag selector for the H1 element. It's going to go to my screen style. I'll click OK. Let me just put a couple things on here. How about I'll go to block, text align center, border. I'm going to uncheck the same for all, and I will do a solid medium bottom border that is blue. Click OK, and there my headline has changed in my header section. Now for my menu, I'm going to create another one. Now my menu is in a div section called menu. See in my tag selector where it's div # menu? That's telling me my div is uniquely identified as menu. So I'm going to create a rule for this. If I click on the border, it actually helped me out because it's currently active. And if I go to create a new rule for my screen style, look at this. It's an ID selector. It already knows that I'm going to do it for the menu. Okay? And it's for my screen style. Let me click OK. And for this one, I'm going to go to block, and do I want to change anything on here? Nope. I'm going to jump over to box instead, and I'm going to float this to the left, and I'm going to give it a width of only 250 pixels. So I'm floating it to the left. It's going to get a 250 pixel width, and just so we can see it a little bit easier, let me go to background. I'm going to put a background color on it. How about a pale yellow? Click OK. There we go. So now my menu is off to the left, and my main content is going to be over here to the right. That blue border, by the way, that's just because it's active. That's how it'll look there. Alright, so for my main content, let me click on the border for that one. There's my div ID main. So if I create a new rule, it's in my screen style. I'll click OK. For this one, I'll go to box, I'm going to uncheck the same for all margin. I'm going to give it a margin left of about 260 pixels. And I think I'll really kind of mix this one up. I'll do background. I'll change the background color to a really dark blue. And then for type, let me change the foreground color to a light yellow. So if I click OK, now we'll see this is how my page is looking. Okay, and check out this little action. I want to format the image that's in the paragraph that's in my main section. So check out this rule. If I click on this image once, that'll help out. Notice it's an image in my paragraph in my main div. If I create a new rule, here we go. It's a compound rule. This is also called a contextual selector, a nested selector, or you might hear it called a descendant selector. It's the image within the paragraph within the main div, within the main ID. Alright, and this is going to be my screen style. I'll click OK. This particular image, box category, I'm going to float it to the left, and padding on all four sides, I'm going to give it some padding. How about just 5 pixels? There we go. So that'll automatically get that image up there. So if I do a file, save all, there we go. So this is how my page looks on the computer screen. And I want to make some changes to this. So I'm going to jump back over to Dreamweaver. And so far, I've just been working with my screen style CSS. Notice that's where all of my rules are associated. Screen style CSS. Now I'm going to change it over to my print style CSS. That's currently active, and I'm going to create a new rule. And in fact, it's still on my image. I don't really want to do that first, so I'm going to jump over and I'm going to do a tag selector for my headline 1. This is going to be for my print style. I'll click OK, and let's see, on print I will make sure there is no border, so I'm going to counteract the border, which really you don't need to do. You just have to say there's no border, as it won't do one. So let me do something that's definitely different. Let me go to box or block, text align right. So that'll be a noticeable change. I'll click OK. We don't see it up here yet, I know. Now I'm going to do something a little bit different here too. I don't need my menu on print, so check this out. I'm going to create a rule for just this menu div. So the menu, of course, only has value on screen, has no value in print. So let me create a rule for this one. New CSS rule. This is going to be for my menu on my print style sheet. And I'm going to go to the block category and choose display none. Okay, so my menu is not going to display, and I know that's kind of weird. I've just got these two rules. I've changed my headline and I've changed my menu. And let's actually just take a look and see what has happened here. Okay, so I'm going to just do a file, save all. Okay, and I'm over at my browser. I'm just going to do a refresh. There's no change on screen because I've only changed my print version CSS. However, if I go to file, print preview for my browser, I can see how this page is going to look when it's printed. Notice that my headline is off to the right and my main content area is now the only section. There is no menu section on my printed version of my page. Okay, let's try something else that'll make it stand out a little bit. Let me go ahead and close this. I'm going to jump back over to Dreamweaver. And of course, on my screen style, I had a rule that manipulated the image for my paragraph in my main section. I'm going to go ahead and take this and I'm going to right click and copy it, and I'll jump over to my print CSS, right click and paste. So now I've got this image paragraph in the main on my print style sheet. But then let me go and edit that particular rule. And on this one, instead of floating it to the left, I'll float it to the right, just so you'll see that difference on there. And what else will I do? I'll go and put a border on it. Let me do and I'll just choose black. And let's see, what else might I do? Alright, now let's see what this has done. Let me go ahead and do a save. Now my print style sheet has changed. I can click over there and just save that. Let me jump over to my browser, refresh. Of course, no change on screen. Let's go to File, Print Preview. There it is. So this is how my page will look on print.